We're gonna watch this stupid Jubilee video about can Israelis and Palestinians see eye to eye? Middle ground, which I've tweeted as a joke, it should be called slanted ground because there's always, like, in these debates, there's always a side, especially this, like, Israelis versus Palestinians is the perfect example of this, where you have one side that has institutional structural power, basically, and another side that just doesn't. So there's always a slanted ground here. You see what I mean? Like, they're trying to draw middle ground out of real life material conflicts just by taking people who represent the group into the group label and putting them in front of each other and having them talk to each other. But honestly, that isn't gonna change shit. First of all, that isn't gonna really change anything besides probably making a bunch of gullible liberals have some kind of feeling of catharsis after they watch it. That like, oh yeah, people of conflicting groups can get along with each other. Wow. But it doesn't actually help anybody. Like, it doesn't actually help anybody to have these people come on and make these arguments as if they're somehow an equal, like, exchange. Because I don't know if you guys know this or are on the same page with me or not, but the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not by any stretch of the imagination an equal exchange. It literally just isn't. It literally just isn't. It's literally the case that you have one population that is invaded and settled and colonized, imperialized, and is still to this day basically holding people in Gaza in an open-air prison, conducting ethnic cleansing on the Palestinian people. And it's just like, it's not complicated. There's no, like, justification about them being, like, a minority in the region or some shit that somehow that means leftists should be in favor of Israel, like some fucking political compass meme logic or some stupid bullshit like that. It's not complicated. It's pretty fucking simple. You have one population that is basically erected an ethno-state in the middle of another population's land that they've been on for fucking centuries. And they're continuing to conduct ethnic cleansing upon that population, and it's pretty fucking heinous, the things that they do. They literally murder children. They literally murder and arrest children and people who are praying, and they literally attack fucking buildings of prayer, and they literally drive human beings out of their homes that they've been in for years. So it's not an equal exchange. It's not an equal exchange whatsoever. And people always, sure, you can make the argument that, oh, like, I remember there was one particular conflict a few years ago where Israel lost 60 people and Palestine lost, like, I don't know if the number was 6,000 or 600, but you get the picture. And people were trying to make Dave Rubin was on TYT trying to make the argument, oh yeah, these people have lost 60, these people have lost 6,000. Oh, I guess they're just the same. No, dude, they're not the same. They're not the fucking same. Israel is literally conducting an apartheid upon the Palestinian people. It's not that fucking complicated. And if you're a Zionist and if you support that, like Barry Weiss, who writes in the New York Times, or no, she's not in the New York Times anymore, who writes in her own little blogosphere or whatever, that the murder of children is just part of the Zionist project, and we have to support it because that's just what it takes for Israel to exist. No, you actually don't have to support it. There's a grand tradition of Jews who are against fucking Israeli apartheid on Palestinians and who are in favor of Palestinian human rights and dignity. So, no, you don't have to support it. Just, takes a couple eggs to fucking make an omelet. No, you actually don't have to see it that way. And if you do, I honestly am my own subjective morals, I'm appalled by that. But I say after that explanation, maybe we should just get into the video. Shall we, folks? Let's see how bad this is.
Because A, it's not your land. B, you mentioned Jerusalem.
You can't tell me that, please. Don't say that.
When it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I think I'm mostly emotionally sad.
I think it's not fair that, a country that is peaceful be in a situation where we have to be threatened.
Being an Arab girl living inside of the Israeli state, it's pretty hard for me to find exactly who I am.
We're the Palestinians. We still live under occupation, so we have no power.
I believe that every person, Jew, Christian, Muslim, should be full equal citizens under Israeli sovereignty.
We need just to end this conflict between us because we don't need the other generations to live the life that we live it.
If we continue to do what we did until now, it's probably going to stay, and we need to do something else.
Can everybody hear okay? Can everybody see all right? One's in the chat if you can see and hear everything fine. Thank you, Pierre Mays. Thank you.
My name's Hannah Ziad. I'm 24 years old, and I'm an Arabian YouTuber.
My name is Dorit Sadon. I'm 25 years old, and I'm a Jewish Israeli Zionist.
My name is Bara Abdo. I'm from Nablus, 25 years old, studied public relations and communications.
My name is Khaled Zohar. I'm from a small town called Givat Ze'ev, right outside of Jerusalem, and I'm 24 years old.
My name is Arab Aramin. I'm 24 years old, and I'm from Jerusalem.
My name is Ron Bar Shafat. I'm 34 years old, and I work as a deputy director of a think tank that deals with law and economics.
They have a think tank guy on the Israeli side. They always do that shit. They put someone who has like high-level qualifications or media training on the side that already has the level of like material power, and it's just like Jubilee is so cringe.
Israelis on the left, my Palestinians on the right.
Are you in favor of peace between Israel and Palestine? Well, the situation is to the extent that I've heard by people who study this stuff that a two-state solution is actually not possible anymore because Israel keeps building settlements. So I don't even know if that's possible. But I'm in favor of the Palestinians taking their land back any means. Like, whatever they do to secure themselves, I support. I'm with the Palestinians. I'm with the Palestinian people, like authentically. Like, so if you want to take that as some comment of like, oh, I want to destroy, yeah, it's not my place to fucking destroy Israel, dude. It's theirs. So, but I'm with them. I'm with them.
First statement is, someone I know has died because of this conflict.
Okay. My father was murdered by 2 IDF soldiers.
Notice how every single person on the Palestinian side sat down.
It hit us hard, especially for my family. We're only girls. And inside of the Arabic nation, that's really hard.
My friend, when I was 10 years old, the sniper shot at her on her head. So that was really hard for us.
No, I grew up.
This is so disgusting. She literally tells everybody that when she was 10, her friend was shot in the head and murdered. And this guy just winces a little bit, like
During the Second Intifada, I carry a list with me of all my friends who were murdered in.
Do you think we as Jews deserve to have a state for our own people to make sure we never get persecuted? No, I don't think any people needs their own state to protect themselves. No, I don't. I reject the premise that Israel is a legitimate state. I reject that premise. It's not.
So I have a list of 27 people that were actually very close to me. In Israel, we have a Memorial Day, so I have always a dilemma to which grave to go to.
On 16th of January 2007, an Israeli soldier shot and killed my sister Abir. She was 10 years old, from the first school, and I was 13. We were 6 kids in the house. After that, we became 2 sisters and 3 brothers.
All of the people that I know have lost someone to the war in some way. And I think like grief is such a universal emotion. And like I want to hug all of you.
I serve in the IDF. I still serve in the Army Reserves, combat. I was very combat in the Second Intifada, and I feel your grief, and I understand it. But I have to say that I never got an order to shoot someone. The order was only to shoot if someone is a threat to your life or a threat to someone else's lives.
I also served in the IDF, and they really do just teach us to defend ourselves. If we're not defending ourselves and we do kill someone, we go to jail.
That's not true. That's not true.
I can tell you something. The soldier that killed my sister, he didn't spend 1 day in jail.
Neither did my father. Both of them that murdered him did not stay 1 day in jail.
I believe a two-state solution is possible.
Okay, I think the Palestinians, they will not stop saying that we want.
Hold on a second. How do you make sure you don't risk being genocided for the 300th time without your own state? Dude. What kind of universe do you live in? Anti-Semitism isn't as rampant as it, what do you mean? Nobody is about to genocide a population of Jews. There's literally a population of Jews genociding a population of Arabs in Palestine right now. Get into reality and face the reality of what's actually happening. The results of your precious state to quote-unquote protect yourselves are another atrocity on another group of people. That's what actually happened. That's what actually happened. So don't try to make that argument here.
We want a country. So in the end, if we got to the point that we have our state and they have their state, so no problem.
It's going to be better for us to live, all of us, together, which is no state like Palestinian, no state like Israeli, only together and having peace together. There is no walls and there is no checkpoints, which has happened right now.
I'm with you. One state under Israel's sovereignty and everyone's full equal citizen. All right? Okay, but under Israeli sovereignty, because right now why is that a problem?
Why should it be on one? Why should one religion control it? Why
it's
can't
not
the
a
three?
religion, it's a nationality. It's my nationality.
So if we said one state with the Palestinian,
He literally just started talking and he's already trying to cut him off.
Control it. You can live under it?
No, because
because
A, it's not your land. B, you mentioned Jerusalem.
You can't tell me that, please. Don't.
He's literally, wow. This guy disgusts me. This guy right here disgusts me.
Why? I'm saying 100%. Palestine used to meant.
I can ask you one question?
Yes.
Please answer it. Your grandfather, you know where he is?
Yes.
Where he is?
So give me how many graves you want me to count?
7 before.
7 before, I know, yes.
Where?
7 before is in Hungary.
In Hungary. 9 before, he's in Palestine. Don't tell me it's not your land.
I'm saying it's not your land.
It's our land. And it will still and will be.
How do you determine this is our land and it's not their land based on what?
History, international law, interest, solidarity.
Yes. How about empathy?
I have empathy. I'm just not willing to give up on my identity and what I believe is mine.
I'm afraid of the other side.
What a cope. What a cope. That guy definitely... What a cope.
When I say that I'm afraid, what I basically mean is I'm afraid of going into Gaza because I know that if I will go into Gaza, I might get shot, someone might kill me.
I think I hesitated a little bit because I don't think I'm afraid of the people on the other side. I think I'm afraid of the gap and sort of almost equally afraid of, like, you know, that side taking all of the responsibility.
Jews can't live in 90% of Arab nations simply for being Jewish? Yeah, try being Palestinian in Palestine or Israel. Gaza, West Bank, whatever area you want to go to. Try that for a day. And that might just be another reason maybe you guys just shouldn't invade there.
Responsibility for what is happening, or this side taking all of the responsibility for what
Maybe you guys shouldn't parade there and say, oh, this is mine now.
is happening, which is obviously not working.
Well, that's fair enough. I don't believe that all Palestinians are terrorists because that doesn't make sense. But I do believe that who is in charge, they're leading the Palestinians to, you know, hating us and in a way that, you know, it is really unfair.
I'm against what you said. They're not the Islam, because Islam didn't say killing people or having blood. Don't belong that
But
to
what
the
about
Islam.
the radical Muslims? The radical Muslims that come and do these things, what do you have to say about them?
They're not part of us. We never accept them as Muslims because they're teaching hate. And in a way, I accept.
That's a thing that not enough people, especially in America, understand about religion. There's no essential religion. There's no essential Islam. There's no singular thing of like, oh yes, all Muslims believe this. Like, it's a very vast religion with a lot of different sections and belief systems intricated within it. So you can't just say, like, you can't even actually just say Islam is a religion of peace. Like, it's more complicated than that, obviously. Religion is up to individual conception. So you can't just treat Muslim people as if they are the worst of anyone who's ever worn the label of Muslim. You know what I mean? Yeah, Americans defend Christians with that logic, but not Muslims. True.
What you just said about there's a big problem with our governments. They don't know how to talk to each other. And in my idea, I really think the people are the ones that should be talking to each other.
I agree, and I have to say I also don't think there's an issue with Muslims, but I disagree with you about the fact that it's about land. There are several peace talks. They were offered 97% of the land. 98 would have done it. I disagree.
But after deciding with the land, they came and they built more settlements.
What's wrong with Jews living in Judea?
That's not the problem. The problem is that we actually talked about this land being for these people, and in the end, when we see Israelis coming in and actually building houses, that's showing us you guys don't want peace.
Yeah, exactly. They keep aggressing. They keep pushing upon the land. They, like, literally, if you look at the time lapse from the whole region, the amount that was literally Palestine, and the amount that it is today is fucking insane. They literally eroded the entire area base and turned it into Israel. It's so crazy. Can you ask incredibly controversial questions? Sure, go ahead. Distrifo.
I trust my sources of information on the conflict.
I serve in the IDF, so first of all, I trust myself and my officers. I do think that a lot of the information I'm getting is not accurate, which is why I try to compare it with different sources, and I also try to see it from people, what they think, what they feel.
What's it feel like to be trans? Different ways depending on how people treat you for being trans. To be real. But what do you mean by how does it feel exactly? Can you be more specific with your question, please? And I will just resume the video.
I don't trust everything I see on the news, that's for sure. I do believe, again, there are two sides to every single story. But I do see things that are happening.
What made me know that I'm not my biological gender? Well, it wouldn't be, the actual term would be assigned gender at birth, not biological gender, but it's basically like I feel, honestly, me. Oh, okay, so that's a good point, kid. Okay, let me put this in a time period. I literally hated myself when I like, before I realized I was trained, I literally hated myself. I felt like I was ugly. I felt like I was disgusting. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror without just feeling like I was fucking gross. And I just constantly like had this feeling in my gut of just like it was not fun. It was really bad. But then like things start changing and I got older and then I realized like me personally, I would never say that I don't feel like a girl. Like I do feel like a girl. Like it's weird to explain it that way, but it's like you just feel girly. Like you just feel feminine. Like you're just drawn to feminine shit, like makeup and stuff like you just feel those kind of drives to go and like do your face and like wear dresses and shit, and it's just kind of like sometimes it's euphoric, sometimes it's dysphoric, like it's not the same feeling every day, you know what I mean? I hope that helps explain, but I really want to focus on the topic at hand, if you don't mind.
For instance, you know, things like the rockets that are striking or the stabs that are happening.
But why did I feel like that? It might not be possible for you to ever feel the same feeling, unless you were also like not cisgender. You know what I mean? But basically, like, if you are a guy, like I assume you are, you would just feel like feminine. If that's vague, but that's the best word I have to describe it to you.
Happening. Those things I do trust because I can see that they're happening and they're just unfair.
Like I see the narrative being written as like I watch TV. I know how important and how powerful language is and how it can create reality. And like,
yes, we're gonna cover the Destiny tweets from today. Yeah.
Like I can see it.
Hopefully, I feel better about myself. Yes, after you the thing about being trans is if you hide it, it hurts more. So like, if you like once you come out and reveal yourself and just go through all of the pain and rejection and shit, I actually feel very strong and powerful when I'm like in public, dressed as myself and like presenting as a woman. Like you do feel triumphant when you overcome all of the bullshit that society puts us through. It is a good feeling when you go through it. But if you hide it, you just feel worse. That's the thing about it.
You know, like, this is really dangerous. Like, on both sides, it's really dangerous.
Overseas media that I see, they're always against Israel for things that are not necessarily our fault.
I find it very funny because we look at it as and start saying that they're really with Israel, which is funny. I find it kind of funny. But no, I seriously do find the information that we're getting has more as an agenda to it from both sides.
I don't believe in social media. Like, from the Israeli side, gonna support Israel, and from the Palestinian side, gonna support Palestinians. People gonna be very confused, and I'm gonna be very confused about the reality.
So to say, but the question was the sources, so it doesn't have to be just social media and reports like this. Like I also trust the reports that the Israeli security forces publish.
But they are
Don't
gonna
trust
write it in their
everything.
ideas, not about the reality and the situation, but their ideas. How do they see this situation? It's not really what happened.
I want political leaders on my side to make compromises for peace.
Surprise. If we continue to do what we did until now, it's going to continue as it was now. And I don't see it getting better. Our leaders should have our lives and the best for us in their minds. And so it's not compromising. Like peace is never compromising.
The Palestinian politicians, they in the end, they want a peace for themselves and for their people. But they have no power because the power, it's not in their hands, it's in the other side.
Yeah, everybody should be listening to him when he says this. If America maybe could give you some land, dude, don't even.
I would like for us to compromise only if you will be able to compromise. It doesn't make sense that every time that we have a war, it's always started by your side.
What she's doing right now is literally abusive. Like, this is literally abusive. Let's go back.
For us to compromise only if you will be able to compromise. It doesn't.
He literally just explained. We all want. She didn't even sit down. All three of the people on the Palestinian side sat down saying that they want to compromise for peace. This woman did not sit down. This Jewish woman did not sit down. And then she comes and she lectures at them. These people who've had this woman whose best friend was killed in front of her when she was 10. She's lecturing at her. Oh, you guys, you cause all the problems. It's all it's all the victim. You guys who are really the fucking objective victims in the situation, it's all your fault. We'll compromise once you're ready to compromise, but you never are ready. See, the issue is all in the way that she sees the situation. The issue is all in the twisted, distorted way that she views the situation that's causing her to fucking do that. Like,
Doesn't make sense.
that's literally abusive. Like, that's literally projectionist and abusive.
That every time that we have a war, it's always started by your side.
You guys are the people who invaded their land and continue to occupy it. So don't start lecturing about it was started by your side.
Day I just heard about, over 1,800 acres of crops have been burnt by, Hamas, who have been sending it over to Israel. Instead of, spending all that money in order to ruin us.
Yeah, this definition came from the Oxford Dictionary. But what a lot of people don't know is that Israel created Hamas. So
why don't they spend it on taking care of Palestine?
Just one second. You're talking about Hamas. You're talking about Gaza. Gaza, it's so far from us. We don't know what's going over there. We don't know. If you can ask me about the West Bank, I'm gonna answer, and I think you as well.
But here's the way I see it when you're talking about compromise. Hamas's charter says murder the Jews wherever they are, and the PA that are the hold on. But the PA that are the moderates.
You're going back to Hamas.
So, but the PA, the
We're not
Palestinian
talking
Authority,
about
the Palestinian Authority. That are, let me finish. The Palestinian Authority that are the moderates. They're saying it's a death sentence if you sell your house to a Jew. Are there racist people in Israel? Of course. Are there racist people everywhere in the world? Yes. But we condemn people who are acting violently, and the other side glorifies it.
that's bullshit. We literally have video footage of hundreds of people cheering as they fucking light fire to a mosque. Like this guy is such a talking suit full of shit, disgusting fucking person.
Violence is sometimes justified.
Oh, I don't know.
If you're going to attack Israel, then Israel is going to defend themselves. And that means when it comes to certain things, maybe not you specifically, but again, to the radical Muslims, we have to. Because if we don't, then there's not going to be a state of Israel anymore.
I don't think it's a matter of Israeli Arabs or Jews Christians.
Why do we always have to simp for the villains?
Sometimes in life you have to use violence. I hope it'll be close to zero as possible. But if I see someone about to murder someone else, I think it's okay for me to use violence to stop that. I think violence is not allowed for a political goal. I think that's a bad place to use violence. I prefer talking.
Yeah, everybody who's like establishment, who talks like this, like, oh, political violence is never acceptable, while they sit on a fucking state and they support the existence of a state. Dude, do you know the vicious realities of statehood? Do you know them? Do you know that states are built on violence? States are fucking built on violence, dude. States don't exist without politics doesn't happen without violence. Violence is endemic to political fucking change. Like you everybody who talks like that is full of shit, and they're sitting on top of a bunch of violence that they don't count as violence. They turn a blind eye. They turn a fucking blind eye.
And having a discourse.
Okay, I didn't grow up with a lot of violence, with zero violence. But what I want to say, the same as you said, who comes to my house to break the door to take my father, of course I will defend for myself. So it's called a violence. But I want a defense for myself.
Yeah, people like to say that Israel, quote unquote, has a right to defend itself. The Palestinian people have a fucking right to defend themselves against their aggressors.
First of all, I am against violence 100%. It's a freaking circle that's going to keep on happening over and over again.
For me, if you're gonna react for the violence with violence, so here we go. We're having like the same problems, the same generation who's raised with hatred and violence and love blood, which is not acceptable.
Having a homeland for my people is important to me.
I think that Israel needs to be our homeland, because if we won't have a homeland, no one else is going to accept us anywhere else, especially because there's a lot of racism and anti-Semitism as well. So if we're not going to be here, where are we going to go?
Okay, for me as a Muslim, the Holy Land, why it's so important. First of all, because I was born here. I have no place, another place.
Every single person around the world have the right to live in the place that they were born in. And that the right for Palestinians, also for, if we're going to talk about refugees also, they have the right to come back here to their lands, to their homes, and have their places.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, none of these people chose, oh, I'm going to be a Palestinian, I'm going to be born in Palestine. None of them chose that. These children are literally born into war. Like, let that sink in. Seriously.
The fact that we came back to our homeland and that we do have a country and a government here, for me, like, it does feel like a miracle. But I also think that the fact that we do have the power now gives us more responsibility, and that we can't just base it on the fact that it's our homeland and not hear other voices saying we feel the same about the same place.
I often question my place in this conflict.
All the time I'm questioning if it's more dialogue, more...
Egypt has its own issues, dude, but Egypt is not literally doing what Israel does, because Egypt doesn't have a quote-unquote defense force that goes in and murders them. Like, what do you mean Egypt is doing what Israel does? What are you talking about?
force, more conversations, more social media, I always ask myself what is the best thing. I tend to believe that the best thing is human interaction.
A lot of times I take a step back from like the political argument about the conflict and all of that, just because I feel like unworthy and that I don't know enough.
So in my way, I've always known what I am in this conflict. I always knew I wanted to fight for peace. That's all I knew, and that's all I will ever know. I never was in the idea of this conflict until my father passed away, and then I had to think for myself.
I always was asking my father why I was born, and his answer, not to kill, to live, to be in life. And when my sister, she got killed, I went back to him to tell him, you told me I was born to live, not to kill, but my sister, she was born to die. The Palestinians, they didn't kill 6 million Israelis, and the Israelis still, they didn't kill 6 million Palestinians. There is a Germanian embassy in Tel Aviv, and there is a Israeli embassy in Germany. So it's a big hope. It always gives me a hope when I'm looking at this and thinking a little bit about this.
I gotta say, I think it's nice slogans. I don't think that's the case. Israel has a peace treaty with Egypt because Egypt was willing to have peace with Israel. Israel has a peace treaty with Jordan because the Jordanians were willing to have a peace treaty with Israel.
Also, from one to one, it's different. How the way you're thinking about it.
I agree, which is exactly why I don't believe in a peace between the two sides, because in my understanding of reality, the whole concept of Palestinian nationality...
Because you don't accept Palestinians.
I accept human beings. I'm saying that the whole concept of Palestinian nationality is one goal, and that is the annihilation of Israel. When Jordan took over Judea and Samaria, when Egypt took over Gaza, no one asked for a Palestinian
But you're combining
nationality.
You're combining everyone into one ideology, which is not right.
Why? What do you mean?
You're saying because they're saying that they're Palestinian, this is what they want, which is not true.
I agree. I take it back. The Palestinian government, the Palestinian Authority.
There.
Okay, I'm not saying the Palestinian people. I agree. It's different. I'm going to say, okay, I don't refer to the Arabs of Judea and Samaria as Palestinians. I refer to them as Arabs of Judea and Samaria.
If we were going to live long age or long years, we're going to see. We're going to see each other.
Great.
And
welcome.
we're gonna
Bring up the Holocaust is dude, it's not that stupid. And do you see his point? He's saying that the fact that Israel and Germany have good relations gives him hope that someday Palestine and Israel will have good relations. I don't know if he's right, but don't think that is a good thing to say? Like what?
gonna have it.
Palestinians, you can have it.
No, I'm talking about peace. We're gonna have it here.
I would like to sit down and share a meal with everyone here.
Yes, please.
Hello. Hello. Hi guys. I'm Johnny.
Hi, Johnny.
I'm Ido.
Hi, Ido.
Shalom. Salam alaikum. So there's on top some passion fruit juice, which gives a kick to the. So how was the experience, guys?
For me, it was perfect. Was good, and it was a good meeting.
Naftali is way more far right. Yeah, well, yeah, it's not a good outcome, is it? Sad but true. Yeah, I don't know.
It was topsy-turvy. It was upside down. In the beginning, yeah. We could say that. because like you don't know who's in front of you. You don't know their ideas, their ideology, what they think about you.
I think we did come to some sort of an agreement that we both do want peace.
No, hold on.
So
Not everyone. I want security, freedom, and prosperity.
You were talking about legal peace.
I don't want a piece of paper that says peace. I want to live in peace. I don't want a piece of paper that says we have a peace treaty.
that's what we meant as well.
No, okay, but we don't agree because I don't believe in a Palestinian state. And
Yeah, I think this guy, the fact that this guy's in a think tank is like impeding him from like he has a commitment to Israel that the other two here don't politically. So he has to say all of this weaselly shit to like instantiate the fact that what he wants more than anything is just Israel's superior fucking fist reigning over everyone else in the region. That's like his motif, basically. Yeah, he's in the IDF active. He can't. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm trying to. Yeah. But when he says peace, what he means is his own victory, I think. That's the vibe I get. Like, he doesn't actually mean he means, like, he wants to conquer them. That's what he means. Because every single empire in the world, like Pax Romana, called itself peaceful. It called itself peaceful. But empires are built on blood. There's no peace in empire. It's a lie. It's only peace for the conqueror. That's what I'm trying to say.
you think you should have like a two-state solution. So we don't agree, and it's also
No, but then we did say we wanted a one-state solution.
Israel with everyone equal. I'm fine with it.
Exactly.
Well, I learned from you that you have a lot of sympathy for our side as well, even though your sister passed away, which is terrible. She didn't pass away, she was murdered. But I can see that you also have sympathy for the other side, and you actually are trying to, communicate with us, even though you went through everything that you had to go through on your end.
Yeah, you can see this woman's life is changed by this interaction. Jubilee might have done something good with this stupid video. They might have. They might have shifted a kind of psychopathically, I don't know the word, into someone with an actual humanity. So that's good on them for changing. Or I guess the props should not go to Jubilee. The props should go to that guy, because that guy is like a model human being. Like I can't imagine going through that and still just being so peaceful. Like, I don't know about anybody in chat, but that's crazy.
And I definitely learned that we can learn to love your side as well, or I could learn to love your side as well.
I think this is the main point for our maybe conflict, that we did not hear from each other. So I think it's important to hear from each other. Not just keep your thoughts and ideas inside your head and don't try to open this box. Just trying to open it.
We want really similar things. Yeah, and it's sort of, you feel like, my friends from back home. And so the realization that we do have the same sort of language, not in like the language that we speak, but in our body language and the things that interest us and the future that we hope for ourselves and for our families. Like, there are no sides. Like, I can't draw a line and say, okay, I'm like these people or I'm with these people.
Hey guys, this is Jason.
And this is John.
And just want to say thank you so much for watching a really special episode of Middle Ground.
These are the guys who run Jubilee.
We love this series because it's an opportunity now more than ever to create great dialogue.
This looks like Tobuscus.
Create radical empathy.
This was a challenge, but also a privilege to get to go to Jerusalem to film this dialogue around a subject that is, very tricky and very difficult, but we loved having the challenge.
Totally. We want to say a huge shout out to YouTube and Crazy.
Yes, it does look like Tobuscus. Yes, it does look like Tobuscus.
Gave us the resources and the support to do this.
You can't say that it doesn't look like it does look like him.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Let us know what you thought about the episode and the various perspectives in the comments below. And also let us know what other suggestions for Middle Ground you have. We want to do more episodes.
How can you say he doesn't?
Bigger and even better.
Yeah, and as always, please be sure to click subscribe and follow us on Instagram. Thanks,
See you guys later.
No, I'm good, dude. I'm fine. I'm not gonna sub to Jubilee.